We're going to be finishing up part 2 of the Wednesday night's homework for week 6. And so we're doing, if you haven't watched the first part, we're doing is we're going to be taking all of these problems in 3 steps. First step being keep, change, change. Second being the distributive property. And the third being add like terms. So this is just the 3 steps that we take in order to solve out these expressions. But in this fourth problem, what we have is we have an exponent there that we need to take care of first before we start knocking everything else out. So in this problem, when we knock out that exponent, this is 2 to the power of 3. And so just to remind you, the 3, what that tells us is how many times we're going to multiply 2. So this 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So we're going to turn that 2 to the power of 3 into an 8. You can just kind of imagine it there as an 8. And then now we're going to do our keep, change, change, and so on. So I see 2 subtraction signs. I see this one right here and this one right here. The others are negative signs. This is going to turn to a plus negative 8, and this is going to turn to a plus negative x. Next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and do our distributive property. We'll start with the easy part. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 2 times negative x. Those negatives cancel each other out, and this becomes a positive 2x. And then now we'll go ahead and just drop down this plus sign. And then over here on this left side, we've got negative 1/4 times 12x. And if you watched the last video, we talked about how any number multiplied by, so this 12 multiplied by 1 over a number, what you're technically doing there is you're dividing, because this is going to end up being 12 over that number that's on the bottom. And 12 over a number is 12 divided by that number. So if that number in this case is 4, then really what we're doing is we're doing 12 divided by 4. 12 times 1/4 is the same thing as 12 divided by 4. This is why we call multiplication and operation inverses of each other. And 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. This was a negative times a positive, so this becomes a negative 3x. And then we're going to do the same thing with negative 1/4 times negative 8. Well, 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2, and then negative times a negative is going to be a positive. So we've simplified that down. And then now last thing we're going to do is we're going to add our like terms. Negative 3x plus 2x is going to be a negative x, plus 2 and negative 8 is going to give me negative 6. So this becomes our final answer, negative x plus negative 6. Number 5, we've got same thing, another exponent here. The exponent is telling me that I need to multiply 5 2 times. So that's me 5 times 5, which equals 25. So that 5 to the power of 2 equals 25. So I'm going to put that here. And then I'm going to do the distributive property here after I do this keep, change, change. 5 times s is 5s, plus 5 times negative x is a negative 5x. And then last thing is to just add my like terms. 4x plus negative 5x equals a negative x, plus 25 plus 5s. So hopefully by this point at part 5, number 5, you're getting a little bit more used to why we're doing this simplifying, why we can't add that 5s and that 25 because they're not like terms. And the very last problem, everybody's favorite, some fractions. We are going to do keep, change, change. So there's going to be, instead of a minus 1/2, we're going to turn into plus negative 1/2. And instead of minus 2, it's going to be a plus negative 2, very similar to the previous column's question. And then now that we've done a keep, change, change, we're going to do our distributive property. So we're going to do 4 times 1/8 x plus 4 times negative 2. We're going to drop the rest down over here on the left side. We're just going to drop it down as it is. 4 times 1/8 x, that's 4/8 x. If you're like, how did he get that? It's 4 times 1/8. Really, like we've talked about earlier, you're basically just multiplying the top numbers, and then the bottom number is going to stay the same. So it's going to be 4/8, which is the same thing as 1/2. So there's going to be 1/2 x. And plus 4 times negative 2 is a negative 8. Let's go ahead and finish it up by adding our like terms. 1/4 x plus 1/2 x. 1/2 is the same thing as 2/4. So it's 1/4 x plus 2/4 x is going to be a 3/4 x plus negative 1/2 and negative 8. Same sign, so we're going to add them together. 8 plus 1/2 is simply just 8.5. And then it's negative. They're both negative, so it's negative 8.5.